that in place. I had this metal frame which was bolted in the back inside the fireplace, and with a couple of screws in the front too. And these sidebars are a little raised off the ground, so I would slip them over this frame so that it could, sorry about the squeak, so that it could slide back and forth under it. Then I had this carriage with steel wheels on it. And on the carriage is a swivel. Now this is a swivel for a rocking chair, a swivel rocking chair. It's rated at 400 pounds. So it's kind of a lazy Susan, rated at 400 pounds. I mean, the ball bearings on it are as big as small marbles. And it would turn from side to side. So this was back in the fireplace, and when I wanted to clean it, what I would do is I would roll the stove out, and then I could swivel it. Now, the only problem with this design, that's why I'm going with version 2, is that my hearth is off the ground and the front wheels could only go this far. So even when I brought it out and tried to swivel it, the edge of the stove would hit the opening of the fireplace opening because it's not huge. So I could never turn it that far. I could maybe go about this far to turn it, which was okay. But I want to be able to spin it completely around so that I have access, full access to the back of the stove without having to remove the stove from the fireplace, physically lift it and put it back in. If I had a hearth that was just flush with the floor and came out enough, I could eliminate this whole thing completely and just have this rolling mechanism, and that would probably be enough. So my goal is to build a new frame that will hold these drawer slides. Now, these drawer slides, and I've got 2 of them, are rated together as a pair at 500 pounds. They make the very large industrial drawers, and they're 20 inches inside the unit, and they'll come out another 20 inches. So that I am thinking that even if I put this back here like this, where the other one was, I will be able to get that extra distance that I need in order to be able to swivel the stove around. And why am I doing this? Because as I get older, and the Earth's gravity is increasing rapidly, I've noticed that whenever I lift things, every few years, stuff is heavier. This gravity thing, the scientists have to do something about. I don't know what's going on. I've read on conspiracy theory sites that it has something to do with air pressure and climate change, and Bigfoot might be in there someplace, I'm not sure. But this is to make it so that in future years, I'll be able to slide this out, spin it around, do repairs on it right in the house, spin it back, hook it up, and we're good to go. So, time to get started. Has anyone noticed that I'm drilling these on the back side instead of the flat side? So they should be drilled on the part that has the scallop on it. I changed this later on. Now I've got a couple of extra unneeded holes. Here's the drawer slide at where it will hit once this is folded up into a box. And I need to drill some holes in order to bolt it to the sides of this. So I think I'm going to put one right here. I want to put 3. And there's another one possible right here. And there must be another one in here someplace, about halfway through. Well, there's one right there. I have 3, so I think we'll put 3 on. And I'm on a drill press, so I don't need to pre-punch those. I can set them directly and it'll work. This side. Okay. And those slide over the bolts really good. Good. So, a little bit of a recap here. There's 2 big bolts that come through the rear of the fireplace right here. And then these 2 rails will come out pretty much to the front end of the fireplace. And I'm going to have my carriage ride on top of that and slide out a full 20 inches. So here it is preliminarily done, and the bolts, put on loosely here. We have the outside frame, and then we have these 2 bolts on the inside of the runners here. So they slide out, and I'm not going to push them anymore because I'll hit the camera, but they go out another 6 inches at least. And on top of these, will be the swivel part of the stove mounted pretty much right on the front here. Now, these sliders are rated at 500 pounds for the pair. If someone had a heavier stove and wanted to do something like this, they don't sell too many draw slides that are short that are for much higher weight. But what I would do is I would double up on them. I might have even bolted through 2 pair on the other side, or put another one through the middle, which would, I guess, exponentially increase it. If these are each about 250 pounds each, adding another one would make 3 times that, or 750. So here we are. It's pretty much done. Few things. For those of you who watch me weld, if you said, gee, those welds suck, you're right. I'm a recreational welder. I took a couple classes at night school at the high school so I could connect 2 pieces of metal together, and my metal stays together. The beads are not pretty though. I was going to prime and paint this, but it's going to be in the house, and I'd have to take the whole thing apart to do that again. And with it all welded together, doing that with the bolts would just be a hassle, and I think it'll be okay inside in the fireplace with a lot of dry heat. I'm not too worried about it. So it bolts down in the back of the fireplace here. This slides out 20 inches and it swivels 360 degrees. It's going to be so nice if I can move this out, spin this around, and have the entire back side of the stove available for cleaning and for any maintenance or repairs I have to do on it. Like I said, it's all about gravity. It's all about getting older. I don't want to have to lift the stove out of the fireplace anymore. It's pretty heavy. I'm going to go install this, but first I need to do some stuff. I need to clean out that fireplace opening. I want to clean the chimney, the flue, and I want to take the stove while it's out and move it on this cart out of the house so I can do a really good cleaning on it without just getting the house all messed up. You know, using that. I just might need a shower. I've been a little busy doing this. I've got an Enviro Milan pellet stove insert that I've had for 17 years now. I got it because it was one of the only pellet stove inserts that would fit in my fireplace when the opening isn't that large. But I'm so glad I did. In 17 years, I've replaced this auger motor and behind it, an igniter, and that's it. Another thing I like about the stove is that it is simple. It's got a convection blower, combustion blower, an auger blower, 3 sensors, overheat, when to turn it off, and of course the vacuum switch, control board, which is separate from the control panel, and that's about it. So what have I done today? Well, we took it out, cleaned it all up really good, did a little oiling on one of the motors and a few of the other pivot points for the cover and so forth. Used an air compressor to clean it, even my leaf blower, and of course the vac. And I got some high heat paint, Rust-Oleum high heat. You can get 500 or 2000 degree. Both of them, or either of them, work well. And they just happen to be the exact match for almost any pellet stove. It's sort of a flat black. So really nice to be able to touch it up when I want to. I also cut a new gasket for some gasket material I had. And this combustion blower connects to the chimney flue in a really interesting way. The T has a metal plate on it that slides into this slot and then flat pushes up against here, and then this buckle comes over to the top and pulls it in and locks it tight in place, so that all I have to do to take it off is to flip this buckle and lift it out. It's a nice system. These stoves are Canada's premier stove. I'm in Maine, but they are made in Vancouver, and there are several models of them. This particular model isn't made anymore, but they're pretty nice. Here it is installed. I have the 2 bolts in the back, and I also have screws here and in the middle. They're drilled into the cement. And I have a block of wood right there, because when I go to put the stove on, if I don't put the block of wood, the whole thing will try to slide into the fireplace before I can get it seated properly. I'll take that off later. Well, we'll see you on the flip side. Fingers crossed. Well, I just got this lifted on, and I'm tired and I'm sweaty. But I used a lift table to bring it up higher than the plate, slid it on, dropped it in place, had to align it a little bit. So here's the first time spinning it. And it just clears everything. I am going to be able to work on this on a stool down here. I'm going to be able to do a much more thorough cleaning. And then I'll be able to spin it around and slide, and slide it back in. Of course, a collar goes around here. Oh, this is great. Version 2. Sometimes it takes 2 builds to finally get something to work the way you think it should work in your head. Okay, so this is what it looks like underneath. There's the rail back there. There's the tray up here that holds it. I have this wedge-shaped block of wood that has a slight taper to it to put right in there, which I suppose gives it a little brace in the front, but also stops it from coming forward when I lift the hopper lid. It wants to pull forward, because unlike the wheels I had on the last one, these slide really easily. So just a little bit of a nudge and it slides out.